back after a big victory, and we discussed last week that every time we go to Lawton, something happens, right?
Yeah.
Well, I don't know if anything happened to you guys.
Nothing bad, but yeah.
Something happened bad to us.
Oh, okay.
We had no bandwidth.
Didn't hear about this.
We had no bandwidth, and so we couldn't get our sound out. And I tried to fix it. Tried everything that I knew in the book, and finally, I just gave up. And something happened where I think people got off our cell tower, and all of a sudden at halftime, everything worked fine.
Oh,
it upscaled back up to 720.
Okay.
So I'm glad it happened to us and not to you guys.
Yeah. No, we didn't. No bus breakdown. No travel was nice. Weather was good. It was a good trip. Good trip to Lawton.
And it held off, but
yes.
At the time of recording, you had to swim over here to the studio.
Yes.
In the monsoons of Choctaw here,
That's right.
So we might be looking at a rain game today or not. Who knows?
Hopefully not.
Hopefully not, but we'll have to see how the week progresses and see what you. But you're gonna have to prepare for it, I'm sure.
Yeah, you do, and like there's different ways you can do it. Obviously, people have like a wet, a bucket with dunk the ball in, throw it, But really, I mean, you try to do your best, keep the ball dry. You'll cycle them in and out. We have coolers and guys assigned to the towels and hand warmers and all kinds of stuff like that to try to keep the football as dry as possible. But ultimately, when both teams are playing in it, there's really no advantage given. It's just however you want to mentally deal with it and have the best system you can to try to keep it dry.
All right, so let's talk about the Lawton game.
Let's do.
I didn't get to watch very much of it because I was worried about getting the broadcast out of it. But what I saw is Lawton showed up, and just your persistence, right, just kind of overwhelmed them, and then it was over. It was over, and we had a running clock second half. So talk to me a little bit about your game plan and what you saw out of Lawton and what you saw good out of our team.
Yeah. Ultimately, it's a coaching adage, but really it's true. Is like we have to get better. We have to continue to get better. I've stressed that on this show. And our kids in our locker room understand, our coaches understand. So like obviously we prepare for our opponent each week. But in the end game, it's like you're just chasing your best game that you can possibly have with your kids, and getting better, blocking, tackling, throwing, catching, and ultimately if you do that, good things will happen. So obviously we looked at Lawton, we prepared for Lawton, but we also knew that we took more of a holistic approach to the game week preparation. We're like, hey, we just got to continue to improve, and we feel like if we continue to improve each and every week, good things will happen. And to your point, it was that I felt like we did, and I felt like that was probably our best all-around game as far as all three phases of the game that we've played up to this point this year, which is what, as a coach, that you're looking for and get excited about, that you're just continuing to have that improvement. And so obviously tonight, I hope that we continue to see that improvement tonight, and continue to take one step further, because obviously no one's going to be perfect, but you want your kids, to continue to progress and ultimately getting ready for playoffs. And understanding that each opponent, each week will get more and more difficult, right, each week. And so, you kind of relate. It's like sometimes, like, maybe people don't understand, but, it's like everyone understands video games. And it's like, I always say, like, the last level is what? Always the hardest. It's going to be always the hardest. Like, so you have to make sure that you are the best you can be for when the storm hits and when the, the difficult times come. And so I felt like versus Lawton, our kids did that. They responded really well. Obviously I have a great deal of respect for Coach Breeze and his program at Lawton. They've had, a very historic program that have done a great job for a long time. I believe that was the fourth or fifth time, somewhere someone can correct me, in the history of the school, the Choctaws beaten Lawton. So it's like wins have not came very easy versus Lawton. And I remember 2019, I was telling our team and our staff, the guys, Coach Tillinger, Coach Carter, Coach Brown, guys that were with me in that 2019 year, we went down to Lawton and had to come from a couple touchdowns back to beat those guys. In kind of a slippery game with some rain and stuff like that. And that was a huge program turner for our program in 2019, where if we lost, we were done. We were out of the playoffs. If we won, we were still alive and not guaranteed. And I can remember Deshaun Brown getting a fumble recovery, playing at OSU right now. We got a fumble recovery, as a young guy back then to kind of help, come back, and kids like Gabe Johnson taking a quick screen for a touchdown and starting a rally. And, you had guys like Thad Williams and Gabe Johnson, Deshaun Moore and Jeff Robertson and, like I said, Deshaun Brown and, Donnie Wingate and guys like that making plays in those games that, like, sometimes our kids forget about. That, like, those guys had to work their tails off to put us in a position, to be where we are right now. And, and we had to come from behind in 2019. And so I told my staff and our kids that, I bragged on them that if you had told me in 2019 that 4 years later we'd be here and we'd be up 51-0 at halftime, there's no way I could have ever saw that, happening. And so obviously as a coach, you're always chasing the next one, and always trying to get better each and every week. But I also took a little bit of time after the game and reflected just how blessed I am to coach our kids. Just the progression of our program and how blessed I'm to be with our coaches each week, because I could have seen that, and I try to have a vision for the future, but I was just, a little bit in awe, to be honest with you, to be up where we were and have a running clock in the second half, and so I think sometimes as a fan, as a coach, as a player, you don't celebrate maybe the wins as much as you should, because obviously you got to move on to the next game, and I respect that as well. But I think sometimes it's kind of good to understand that, wins against Lawton have been very few in this program and very difficult. And when you get a chance to have a running clock and get to play a lot of guys and unload the bench versus them, that's a very special thing.
And I would make an argument, and I appreciate you bringing up that team, because that was one of the last groups of guys that I coached.
Yep.
But I would make an argument that game was not just a turnaround for that year. That was a turnaround, and we never looked back.
Right.
We never looked back.
A huge program. And so, I have little pictures, and I have a picture of that fumble recovery.
Yeah.
And it's like, 'cause we're down, and to be honest, they're driving. He's talking about 2019. And they're driving. If they go punch one more in, not only are we done that game, our season for all purposes are done as well. And as you mentioned, I don't know how long it would take us to have that next big moment to try to flip the program around. And let everyone believe that you can win, because I think that not very many times in the history of the world has a program gone from not a lot of success to a lot of success and do it consistently. That doesn't happen very often, and the reason, one of the main reasons is because you have to convince everyone that you can win, right? But to convince them convincingly that you can win, you have to win, and you have to beat a quality opponent, and you have to win a hard game, and all those things, and that's difficult to do. Obviously, our kids expect to win every game. Our kids expect to play well, but that's really, of course, it's credit to us currently, but it's also a nod of a hat and credit to those guys that have sat in our chairs in the past and have worn the gold helmets long before our current team got there, and kind of paved the way that, hey, this is the standard, this is the gold standard, this is how we play, this is what our expectations are. And you had to have those guys take a lot of lumps and have a lot of faith and belief in themselves and in the program long before these guys were in high school.
Right. And I can speak to that team. And I always tell my guys, winners aren't determined by the scoreboard.
Right. No, 100%.
The scoreboard eventually will agree with the winners.
Right.
But you got to be a winner before you enter the field, before you have ever a chance to
that's what that's what we talk about all the time. You have to become a champion to win a championship. And so I say you're a champion when you walk into the stadium. When you walk into the stadium, for a state championship game, you have to be a champion walking in to go get the trophy. You don't get the crown just because you're holding a trophy. You have to have the crown prior to the trophy. Right. You have to believe that. And so you have to have championship behavior, do what champions do, believe and make it hard, and I think, our theme this year obviously is in the arena, and our kids step into the arena each and every, day. And, a lot of that's we don't know what the outcome will be. We can lose. Obviously we have lost a game this year. And what did you do the next day? Well, you get up and go back to work. What do we do after you go 51-0 at halftime? You get up and go back to work. Right. And that's what you do every day. That's what a champion does, regardless of outcome. Guys outside the arena can point and say, well, here's what you should have done.
Oh, yeah.
But I always remind our kids to say, but keep in mind, they're up there, you're down here. Right? We're down here fighting for it. They're up there saying what should have happened.
Oh, yeah.
But, I tell my kids and tell my own personal sons, I want to live every single day of my life in the arena, doing what's hard, doing something that's difficult. I don't want to be a critic that is outside the arena, not fully invested in anything, and has time to go criticize someone else. Because I tell our guys in our football program, I've never had time to be on a message board. I've never had time to be on Twitter or social media or Facebook, saying what someone should or should not have done. I'm too busy trying to do things that are hard, right? And so are our kids. They're always doing hard things, and when you live your life like that, obviously you're going to have some bumps and some bruises, but ultimately I think that's a much more fulfilling life than looking from the outside in under what putting someone else under a microscope on what they should or should not be doing. So I'm proud of our kids. They do hard things. They've chose a hard task. They continue to. They've raised the bar each and every year and raised the expectations. And I look up sometimes and you're up 51-0 at halftime, and I feel like some people think, well, that's what it should be. It's like, well, check your history books.
Right.
You know, that's not what it should be versus Choctaw versus Lawton, but that's what it is now. You know, right. So that's a credit to our kids and how hard they've worked.
Well, my partner in crime, he brings up sometimes because, you know, he's been in Choctaw a really long time. Yep. I've been in Choctaw for, you know, since last century.
Right.
We bring that up. We took our lumps and you know, there's games that we celebrated when we finally scored 6 games into the season.
Right.
But, you know, when I think about that, we talk about that sometimes. It's not even relevant anymore.
Right.
It's been so long since we've been that level of program. It just doesn't even feel like a history that matters anymore. Yes, we got a lot of alumni that they took their lumps and they go to the games, they follow the games, and so we got to honor their tradition. But like, I think they're happy with the new tradition.
Yeah, absolutely. I get reached out to all the time from, you know, alumni that, you know, are just extremely supportive and proud. You know, to be Choctaw Yellow Jackets, and I love when those guys come back and talk to our team and just say, you know, this is kind of what, you know, how we used to do things or what it was, and, you know, how proud they are of how, you know, the current Yellow Jackets conduct themselves and carry themselves each and every Friday. And I think it's just instilled a lot of pride in our community, you know, and not only the alumni, you know, the future guys, you know, like we have so many young kids on our sidelines that want to, you know, we're the number of the kids that on Friday night, they know who they are, they know their name, they know the play calls, they know everything. They want to be just like them. And, you know, when we talk about leaving a legacy all the time with our kids, you know, and just how important that is. For not only, you know, themselves, but the future. And as you mentioned, the past, you know, who's come before them. Because, you know, ultimately, like, you know, we're all Choctaw Yellow Jackets. We're all trying to push this thing forward. But the challenge I give our kids each and every year is like, man, you've gotten this baton. If this is a race, you've gotten the baton so far around the track that someone else has already given. Now it's your job to take it and push it even further, you know, and we can't go backwards. And they take that, you know, very seriously. And, you know, and take great pride in that, of continuing to push the program forward, you know, each and every year. And so it's been a lot of fun, you know, to see the progression. But like I said, sometimes I think in life, like, you need to step back and reflect, at least just for a moment. As a football coach, you have to play the next week, so you can't take days to do it, but you can take at least, you know, 5 minutes. And so I've done that with our staff and our kids, and just how proud I am, you know, of them and the direction that they're going. And then I'm always like, man, if we've gone this far, what if we go a little bit further?
Right. And we're doing a lot of effective work, and we'll get to why we're doing that today. I'm getting ahead of myself. Let's talk about players of the game before we start talking. You know, the upcoming game that we have tonight is my favorite game of the year, and I'll tell you why. I bet you know why.
Okay.
But let's go ahead and talk about the players of the game. Offense. Let's go.
Yeah. Offensively, you know, as always, anytime if you win big, you know, the O-line has to play well. Oh, yeah. You know, receivers have to block well and catch well, and running backs and quarterbacks, and everyone has to play really, really well. But, you know, player just kind of stood out not only for, you know, his production, but also what he did with the ball wasn't in his hands. Our player of the game was Mayor Morgan.
Okay.
Sophomore running back, and obviously had a couple of big touchdown runs and some long runs. But just, you know, blocked extremely well, extremely unselfish player. He's made a comment to me, you know, because obviously a lot of our guys, when you have good players, you know, you can only play 11 guys at a time, and there's also only one football.
Right.
You know, and sometimes you wish there was more than one football, but there's only one.
Yeah.
And so, you know, when you have some talented guys, like, you're going to have to try to spread that around a little bit. And so, you know, you may not have a Michael Jordan, you know, but you have, you know, you have maybe the Golden State Warriors, you know, when you have just a lot of guys that can score the football. And so you may not get as many carries as what you would like, or as many receptions as what you would like, but you have to make those count. And, you know, and I've said that to him, and I've never, you know, made any, you know, bones about that with our kids of like, man, hey, I'd love to get you more carries, or you more catches, or you more throws, or whatever it is. But unfortunately, you're just trying to win a game. He made a comment to me a couple weeks ago. He said, Coach, I just want to win. So I don't care. I just want to win. And he's taken that approach each and every day, and just continues to work really, really hard. And our offensive player of the game was Mayor Morgan.
Okay. And that's a good one. And I was going to say the running backs.
Yeah.
I didn't get to watch the games
either,
because I was more worried about the broadcasts than watching the games, because that's my job. And Dooley had the rest handled. My crew had the rest handled. I just had to make sure. But I was watching game film so I can see who's my player of the game, because that's the only way I can do it. And I definitely was impressed with him. I'm impressed with just your H-backs and your running backs, where they make every touch they get valuable.
Right.
Even if they don't get a lot of yards, of course, people that have been in football a while understand that sometimes you're going to try this play, and it opens up a play down the road.
Right.
And so I feel like they just execute the play.
Yeah, we had
a
high degree of execution on offense. I thought, it was really, probably our best game on offense as far as execution rate went. I'm really proud of them. Again, like a lot of kids did a lot of really good stuff that night, but we gave it to Mayer.
Okay. I like it. Defensive play of the game.
Yeah, defensively, again, it's like anytime you have, essentially a shutout till, basically last play of the game, and you're doing some good things, had a punt block, punt return for a touchdown,
right.
A lot of turnovers and all those, did a really good job. But a guy that just showed up and, matched the production sheet. And again, we've kind of gotten into that a little bit more on the show where, basically like we have it down to a science where, by when this guy's in, how much is he producing? So is he getting a tackle? Is he getting a tackle for loss, a PBU, a sack, fumble recovery, whatever it may be, interception. So we assign points to all that. And so the guy that led the production chart, not only overall but points per play were just insane was Will Smith.
Okay.
That was our player of the game.
Okay.
And it was kind of tough to go against him. He had a sack, forced fumble, a pass broken up, caught a touchdown pass, and then just showed up all over the place all night. So Will Smith was kind of ran away with it. Our defense player.
I'm gonna agree with you on that. And I was gonna go cheesy just because of hadn't quite gotten to all the stuff that I need to get to. But the defensive line or the defensive front just continues.
They're amazing. Yeah, they're amazing. Absolutely amazing. With all those guys are just fantastic players.
But yeah, that was really good. Let's go special teams real quick.
Yeah, special teams again hard. We had to go co. Because we had Logan Knight return for a touchdown, so he was one of the co's. Logan's this would be his fourth punt return for a touchdown. That didn't get marred by a penalty, and so it's like he finally got one in, and then Corey Childs with the big punt block in the end zone, which he laid out. Just absolutely perfect hand placement, everything. Did a fantastic job, and then Drake Fitro on that same play had a really heady play. If you got to see it, where ball's about to go out the back of the end zone, which would be a safety, and he goes ahead and dives, and bats it back in so that we could get the touchdown.
Yeah.
And so a huge super heads up play by Drake as well. But two players a game on special teams, Corey Childs and Logan Knight.
100% agree.
Yeah.
I did actually get to catch that because anytime someone's backed up in their end zone, they're going to punt. I'm watching.
Right.
Because nothing good can happen most of the time for the punter.
Right.
Because it's not the right spacing. It's just an opportunity for something good to happen for the receiving team, which we took advantage of. So that was a great game. And of course, it feels good to go down to Lawton and get a victory.
Yep.
It's a long road trip. It was good to see the kids get off the bus and play.
Yeah, absolutely.
Let's transition into my favorite night, and it's senior night. And this is why
it's my least favorite night.
It's my favorite night, and this is why
I graduated sad.
One of my favorite traditions that Choctaw does is they have the little league teams warming up with the team. So there's second graders, third graders, fourth graders that have been warming up on this field. And they've been warming up on this field for many, many, many years. And then all of a sudden they're in high school, and now they're a senior year, and they can look back and see those little kids.
Right.
So I like to see that connectivity to the community. Mm-hmm. And yeah, we don't want to get rid of the seniors, but I like to see that they have set goals. And some of these kids have set goals in the second grade, the third grade. They might not have been realistic goals because they're second and third graders, but they're now living their goals. They're living what they've worked so hard to do, and then we get to kind of exhibit that, and we get to see that and get to honor that. And I like that aspect.
Right. Well, like I said, I want to honor those guys, and senior night's always a big night. But I'll be honest, it's sad to me. I don't like it. It's I wish those guys stay here forever. Every year I say that, but especially the senior class, they're just done so much for the program. Such great quality people. Not only are they talented football players, but they're just great human beings. And I'll be sad. And so it's when you start getting the playoffs, to me, it's always you're on a 1 week contract, but I tell them, it's man, you're fighting to try to keep this thing together for another week.
Right.
I want to coach you guys for another week, so we got to try to keep this thing together for another week. And so you're fighting, for 4 quarters for 7 more days, with them. And so this senior class has been so special to us, and just such an unselfish class, such a talented class, guys that are always team first, high character, literally the definition of the gold standard. Each and every one of them, has made just a huge impact on this program and the history of this program, and forever changed it. And you can do the stats on this, but this will be the winningest senior class in the history of Choctaw football.
I believe that. Yeah,
they've won more games than any class in the history, and it's not even close. And so they've done, so much, and they've played in 2 state championship games, 2 semifinals, hopefully a third and then a fourth, in this year. So if we finish this thing off right, and so just a fantastic class of kids that's done everything that we've asked of them. And as you mentioned, they pour into the younger guys. A lot of them coach, our INFC, our young kids, and know those kids by name, and really do a great job just pouring into their, and creating their own legacy for the future.
All right. Just to go over a little bit what's going to happen this evening, we're going to start early.
Yep.
I think about 6:30, and we're going to do senior night. So we're going to go over that. Halftime, we're going to have the performance from the band,
Right.
as long as the rain didn't come down.
Fantastic. Yep.
And they just went to Super Regionals in Indianapolis, and they got first in their class.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And swept all the awards. And so we'll have that going on. Just a great championship arena where there's winners all over the place.
Right. Absolutely.
I know the cheer that got some of their stuff going good, and Palm got their stuff going good. And it comes
Cheer
on.
third in state, which is
Yeah.
unbelievable. That's a huge honor, because I know a little bit about the cheer world because of my wife, and
Yeah.
if you talk about a competitive sport, like, it is unbelievable what those girls can do.
But just a lot of winning going on in Choctaw.
Yep.
So I'm happy to see that. It's kind of a celebration for everybody. Of course,
Absolutely.
band senior night is a different time. It's actually Thursdays when they do their stuff. So a lot of fun stuff going on. I guess we've got to talk about the football game.
Yeah, at some point.
We got to play it, right?
At some point.
So I'm so excited about all the stuff around the football game
Right.
because I don't have to focus on it because I'm
Right.
not coaching the kids.
Well, ultimately it's a big district game. We need to win and try to, get our district points and, come out strong. And obviously, you want to win the game. That's the goal. That's what any game is. But like I said, I want to continue to see us just progressing and taking another step forward. Continue trying to get better, perfecting some of the stuff that we've been working on so hard this week in practice in the last several weeks of things that we've kind of tweaked and changed, and just continue to go. And so, continue to let those kids gain experience. Because we really haven't played a whole lot of 4-quarter games
Right.
so far this year, and so just let our kids continue to get better and better. Ultimately and hopefully come out with a win. Obviously, I'd like a big win, but I'll take a 1-point win. I'll
Right.
take whatever we can get. But again, the big deal is you're going to be able to hopefully put yourself in a position to face adversity in a big game in the playoffs, and you need to make sure that you're ready for that. And so we're trying to just continue to progress and get better each and every week, so that when we do have those big games, we're ready to go.
All right. From my research, this is the best of the Putnam cities. I believe that they're
They're
on top.
they're really talented, big and athletic, really fast. Coach Alexander and his staff have done a fantastic job kind of resurrecting that program, and you'll see guys that can run. Those guys can run, and they're big and physical, and obviously present a lot of problems. Have really accurate quarterback, really good receiving core, big physical O-line is huge, and a big physical running back. Then on defense, those guys fly all over the place. They have speed, and size, and so we'll be up against it this tonight for sure. I want to continue to let our guys execute. Hopefully do that at a high level and be able to kind of hold them off. But it's a very talented PCO team and very well coached by Coach Alexander and his staff.
All right. It's going to be a good night. And
Yes.
I'm glad you said speed because that's all I've seen out of Putnam City. Speed.
They're
Speed.
fast.
All right. I think we just need to go play the game.
Okay, let's go.
All right. Until next time, stay classy.